Man, I can't tell you just how much I really love Stranger Things. I mean, this show has not only pushed my writing and story ideas in many ways they hadn't been before, not only become my favorite show, but it's really just pushed me harder towards my film career I've been seeking. So you can only imagine just how excited I was when they finally dropped the Season 3 trailer. I spent the past couple days, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, rewatching Seasons 1 and 2 and watching Season 3, so here I am, rocking like a hurricane with a Season 3 review of Stranger Things. Now, kicking this thing off, this season does start off pretty slow, slower than any other season, and normally with all the things going on, it would normally be something that I'd actually hate in most shows, but in this show, watching the teenage drama and all the super mundane situations happen really works for me. That's largely from being able to grow at the similar pace as these characters and to relate to them. I can feel all the feelings of that first puppy love in high school or middle school. I can feel the tension of the friendship growing apart as the kids grow older. I can remember the feeling of getting my first job and working at an internship while I'm in high school. And most of all, currently, I can relate most to Steve, with him being graduated and in a kind of state of flux, deciding whether or not he'll even attend college, as I went through very much the same thing after I graduated back in June of 2018, leading me to eventually just taking a year off of school and spending the year experiencing things and working. I do start school this year in August, but I digress. Being able to watch these characters and grow with them over the years and to enjoy these characters, the amazing writing that's put in behind these characters and the amazing acting from these actors and actresses, it all helps me to enjoy the regular stuff I usually hate in a lot of teen dramas. This season is definitely darker in a lot of ways than the previous two. It's also a lot funnier as well and can be pretty cheesy at certain points, but it embraces that so that it doesn't feel lame. It's good, it's entertaining. To keep the plot short and sweet, in the summer vacation between their 8th and 9th grade years, the kids attempt to keep their friendship intact while they're also growing apart. And all the meanwhile, the Mind Flayer is back and taking host, while also a Russian agency is attempting to open portals to the Upside Down. One thing that is consistent across all seasons of this show is the time management. The pacing is pretty much perfect in this show, especially this season. Starting with the characters, I love the relationship between the kids this season. We see Dustin trying to hold on to their childhood adventures, all the science stuff, leading him into his adventure with everyone's favorite amazing-haired babysitter Steve, his co-worker Robin, and Lucas's younger sister Erica, discovering the Russians. Will is trying to hold on to the games, the Dungeons & Dragons campaigns, but Lucas and Mike are busy with their girlfriends, specifically Lucas helping Mike, or attempting to help Mike, with his and Eleven's relationship problems, just as Max attempts to help Eleven with theirs. We've also got Nancy and Jonathan, who in this season admittedly have the least character development of any characters in the show. Their whole thing is they're at this summer job at the paper, and Nancy finds this whole story that she wants to do about these crazy rabbit rats eating fertilizer and such. The paper blows her off about it, and their investigation of the story leads to them getting involved in the bigger problem, the Mind Flayer. We also have Joyce Byers, who is still trying to cope with the death of Bob due to the Demodogs and contemplating leaving Hawkins, all while Hopper is dealing with Eleven getting older, feelings of losing his second daughter, but this time not to death, but to her life, her own life. Now I'm about to get into a little bit of spoilers here, so if you don't want to know or if you haven't watched Season 3 yet, I'll ask you to skip to the time code below or to just go watch Season 3 and come back. Now to talk about Billy, I'll admit, last season, though he was a complete jerk, I still kind of liked Billy. I understood that he did assert himself, his dominance over everyone else, and it was because of the way that he felt powerless under his father's iron fist. And so he wants to keep control in every other situation that he can everywhere else. He's top dog, I can understand that. Now the supposed racism towards Lucas, I assume was just him simply trying to protect Max. Before anybody gets triggered, let me explain. I don't believe it was intended to be racist. I think he felt like someone was causing pain and distress to Max, and he didn't like that. And so he reacted like he did. Despite how he acts, we obviously can tell in his own twisted way that he does care about Max. So he wouldn't want someone causing her problems, and we see this in the third season about how much he does love Max towards the last episode. I'll dive deeper into a different video because I think that I can make a whole video of its own on that. I just wanted to state that here in this video because it was relevant to this. Billy in this season was used by the Mind Flayer to gather hosts in order to bring the Flayer into its physical form and to take control of 11 to become unstoppable, as 11 is the only one capable of defeating the Flayer. We dive deeper into Billy's life this season, seeing more of his father's abusive nature not only to him but to his mother. Billy eventually in the final episode sacrifices himself to hold off the Mind Flayer from 11 and to allow the gate to the Upside Down to be closed. Personally, I feel like the redemption of Billy could have been more redeeming, for lack of a better word, but ultimately I feel like his death was the right choice because turning every hated character into a team player and a loved character, a la Steve from early season 1 to late season 1, and especially season 2, would just get repetitive, and I think in a series like this, death is needed, as long as it's used meaningfully and not just as shock or to prove, hey, we can kill people too. Plus, I didn't see much more for Billy to do anyways, but like I said, I really love to see how Max is dealing with this and how it's affected her in Stranger Things 4. That's something we really spent little to no time on in the outro, and I really like to see it further developed in the next season. Speaking of death, the big one this season, Jim Hopper. This had to be the absolute saddest moment throughout the entire series. Hopper over the season was dealing with 11 growing up and dealing with trying to build a relationship with Joyce while helping her in the investigation of the Russian threat, which, looking back at the previous 2 seasons, was inevitably going to come up eventually, especially with the Cold War and everything. His death, though, in particular the speech he had written out for 11 right after his supposed death, which probably isn't going to stick because we never seen his body vaporize and he could have easily escaped into the Upside Down, but nonetheless, it was a real tearjerker. Now there are some other things that I'm really interested in. Where do we go from here? The Byers family and 11 moved away from Hawkins. How are Nancy and Mike dealing with this exactly? How is Joyce coping with the supposed death of Hopper? Is Hopper really the American in the Russian prison? How has Billy's actual death affected Max and that family's dynamic? We'll just have to wait another year or two to find out in Stranger Things 4. Now for the verdict. Stranger Things 3 keeps that same consistency the show has had. No extremely controversial episodes like the lost sister from last season and this season, and I'm happy for that. This remains one of the most consistent shows on Netflix. The only other show that I can honestly say retains its same high level of quality throughout it is Daredevil, honestly, which does go down a little bit in the second season, but nonetheless it still keeps around the same area of good quality. Stranger Things 3 gets an A for me with great writing, great acting, great directing, all of it. It's just amazing. This show is absolutely fantastic and I can't wait for the next season. Thanks again for watching the video, guys. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. Also, that Fox deal video, I know I've been promising it for a long time. It's recorded. I just have to finish editing it. I'm gonna try to finish editing it soon, and I'll get that one up to you as soon as possible, guys. Again, follow me on all social medias, leave the thumbs up, subscribe, turn on your post notifications, and see you next time.